In the words of Bob Dylan himself, all I can do is be me, whoever that is. And who that person is has intrigued, inspired, and influenced countless individuals over the decades. But before the legend, there was a boy born in the heartland of America in Duluth, Minnesota on May 24, 1941. He was named Robert Allen Zimmerman, born to a simple, middle-class Jewish family. The Zimmerman family was part of a close-knit Jewish community, imbued with a sense of tradition and a love for storytelling. Young Robert grew up surrounded by tales of struggle and triumph, of love and loss. This narrative tapestry would later weave its way into his lyrics, resonating with listeners across the globe. But it was music that truly captivated Robert. He was hardly in his teens when he discovered the intoxicating rhythms of rock and roll and the soulful strains of blues. The music spoke to him, moved him, and he soon found himself drawn into its mesmerizing world. He taught himself to play the piano, the guitar, and the harmonica, his fingers finding their own language on the strings and keys. Robert wasn't just interested in playing music, though. He wanted to understand it, to dissect it. He spent hours listening to records, absorbing the sounds, the nuances, the emotions. He was particularly influenced by the likes of Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Buddy Holly. Their music ignited a spark in him, a spark that would eventually set the music world ablaze. As he grew, so did his passion for music. He started performing in high school bands, his voice raw and unpolished, but undeniably unique. He had a knack for storytelling, for painting vivid pictures with his words. His performances were more than just songs. They were narratives, tales set to the rhythm of his heart. And then one day, the boy named Robert Zimmerman decided to step into a larger world. He adopted a new name, a name that would become synonymous with folk music, with protest, with poetry. A young boy named Robert Zimmerman was about to change the world of music, taking on the name we all know and love, Bob Dylan. Dylan once said, "I accept chaos, I'm not sure whether it accepts me." This statement is a testament to his journey, a journey that took him from the tranquil landscapes of Minnesota to the bustling cityscape of New York. In the early 60s, a young Dylan, armed with a guitar, a harmonica, and a suitcase full of dreams, arrived in the city that never sleeps. He wasn't just another face in the crowd, he was a man on a mission. His destination? The thriving folk scene of Greenwich Village, a melting pot of artists, poets, and musicians. At this time, the village was a beacon for folk music, a genre that was experiencing a renaissance of sorts. Dylan, with his distinctive voice and profound lyrics, fit right in. He performed in coffee houses, captivating audiences with his unique blend of folk and blues. His performances were raw, his lyrics were powerful, and his persona was captivating. A key moment in Dylan's rise was his meeting with Woody Guthrie, his idol, whose songs of social injustice had deeply influenced Dylan. It was a passing of the torch, from one folk legend to a future one. Then came the turning point, Dylan's signing with Columbia Records. This was no ordinary record deal. It was a partnership that would change the face of music. Columbia saw in Dylan not just a singer, but a poet, a storyteller, a voice for the voiceless. In 1962, Dylan released his first album, aptly titled Bob Dylan. It was a modest debut, but it set the stage for what was to come. The album captured the essence of Dylan, his raw talent, his poetic prowess, and his unwavering commitment to his craft. As Dylan's star began to rise, so did the intrigue around this unique and enigmatic artist. His journey had just begun, and the world was poised to witness the rise of a prodigy, a man whose music would echo through the ages. As Dylan himself penned, "The times they are a-Changin'." And indeed, the times were changing, as was Dylan himself. The early 60s saw him as a folk hero, strumming his acoustic guitar, singing songs of protest and social commentary. But as the middle of the decade approached, Dylan felt the winds of change. He was about to make a move that would shock his fans and the music world. The year was 1965. The place? The Newport Folk Festival. It was here that Dylan dared to plug in an electric guitar, a move seen as a betrayal by his folk purist fans. But for Dylan, it was a necessary evolution. As he strummed the first electrified notes of Maggie's Farm, the crowd's reaction was immediate and intense. Some cheered, embracing the new sound. Many others booed, feeling abandoned. The controversy was immediate and fierce. This was more than just a switch from acoustic to electric. It was a sonic declaration of independence. Dylan was breaking free from the constraints of the folk genre, exploring new musical territories. He was no longer just a folk singer, he was a rock star. His music became a fusion of folk, rock, and blues, creating a sound that was uniquely his own. This transition was not just about Dylan's music, but also about his influence on the cultural and political landscape. His electric performance signified a shift in the zeitgeist of the 60s. It was a bold statement that reflected the changing times. A society in flux, a culture in rebellion, a generation seeking its own voice. The fallout from Newport was significant, but Dylan remained undeterred. He continued to push boundaries, to challenge expectations, to evolve. His courage to change, to risk alienating his fan base, cemented his status as a cultural icon. His influence extended beyond music, touching the realms of politics, literature, and popular culture. Dylan's shift to electric guitar was more than just a musical choice. It was a statement, a rebellion, a revolution. Dylan once mused, "How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man?" This question, posed in his iconic song, "Blowin' in the Wind," reverberated through the tumultuous era of the 1960s. It was a time of social unrest and political upheaval, a time begging for voices that could articulate the collective frustrations and aspirations of a generation. Among those voices, one stood out, one that, through its poetic lyrics and haunting melodies, captured the spirit of the times. That voice was Bob Dylan's. In the midst of the 1960s counterculture movement, Dylan's songs became anthems for those seeking change. His folk tunes, embedded with political and social commentary, resonated with a generation that was questioning the status quo, a generation that was eager for transformation. Take, for instance, his song, "The Times They Are a-Changin'," a rallying cry for the era. The song encapsulates the cultural shift taking place during the mid-1960s. It was a call to action, a plea for understanding, and a prophecy of the changes to come. The song's poignant lyrics and timeless melody echoed in the streets, in the homes, and in the hearts of millions, shaping the collective consciousness of an era. But Dylan's impact extended beyond just his protest songs. His music explored a broad spectrum of social and political issues, from civil rights to war, from poverty to love. His words were a mirror held up to society, reflecting its flaws, its hopes, its struggles, and its dreams. In this way, Dylan's music was more than just entertainment. It was a tool for empathy, a weapon for change, a beacon of hope. His songs were the questions that prodded, the answers that comforted, the truths that confronted. His voice, raw and honest, became the soundtrack of a generation grappling with sweeping changes and daunting challenges. Dylan's music was not just a soundtrack to a generation, it was its voice, its conscience. It was the echo of their thoughts and feelings, the expression of their fears and hopes, the embodiment of their dreams and struggles. It was, in essence, the voice of a generation. I change during the course of a day. I wake and I'm one person, and when I go to sleep I know for certain I'm somebody else. Bob Dylan. These words, spoken by Dylan himself, provide a window into the enigmatic persona that has captivated and confounded us for decades. Bob Dylan, the man who had become the voice of a generation, was also a man of many masks. His mercurial nature, the constant evolution of his music, and his ability to blend into a crowd despite his fame, made him as elusive as a wisp of smoke. In 1966, Dylan retreated from the public eye following a motorcycle accident. The details of the accident remain as mysterious as the man himself. Was it a serious crash or a minor tumble? Did it really happen, or was it a cover for his growing need for privacy? The truth, like Dylan, is hard to pin down. During this period, Dylan became a recluse, disappearing into the countryside of Woodstock, New York. His retreat from the limelight was as sudden as it was unexpected, leaving fans and critics alike to speculate on his reasons. Some suggested that he was tired of the fame, while others believed he was grappling with the weight of being the voice of a generation. Yet even in his absence, Dylan's influence on music and culture was undeniable. His songs continued to resonate, his words continued to inspire, and his impact continued to be felt around the world. His enigmatic nature only served to amplify his legacy, adding another layer to the folklore that surrounded him. Dylan's retreat from the public eye wasn't an end, but another transformation in a career defined by change. He was and remains a chameleon in the world of music, constantly evolving and reinventing himself. His elusive persona, far from being a barrier, is a part of his allure. Even at his most elusive, Dylan's influence remained undeniable. His story serves as a reminder that sometimes the greatest impact comes not from the loudest voice, but from the most mysterious one. Dylan once noted, "He not busy being born is busy dying," a statement that encapsulates his relentless evolution as an artist. Even in his later years, Dylan continued to redefine his sound and explore new territories of songwriting. His music, always a rich tapestry of folk, rock, and blues, began to incorporate elements of jazz and swing, further testifying to his boundless creativity. In the early 21st century, Dylan released a series of critically acclaimed albums, including Love and Theft, Modern Times, and Tempest. Each album showcased a different facet of his musical genius, from his poignant storytelling to his gritty, raw vocals. Yet, they all bore the unmistakable stamp of Dylan, his unique lyrical style, his distinctive voice, his indomitable spirit. But Dylan's impact extends far beyond his discography. His influence permeates the very fabric of popular culture. His lyrics have been analyzed in academic circles. His songs have inspired countless covers, and his life has been the subject of numerous books and films. His words have become a part of our collective consciousness, echoing in our minds, shaping our thoughts, coloring our world. Perhaps the most significant recognition of his cultural impact came in 2016, when Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. A first for a musician, this honor underscored the profound influence of his lyrics. The Swedish Academy, in their citation, noted that Dylan had created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition, a testament to his unique ability to blend music and poetry into a powerful, resonant form of expression. Bob Dylan's legacy is vast and varied. It's seen in the musicians he inspired, in the cultural shifts he catalyzed, and in the countless lives he touched with his music. A troubadour, a poet, a visionary, Dylan's contributions to music and culture are immeasurable. Bob Dylan, a man, a myth, a legend, continues to inspire and confound us, and for that, we are eternally grateful. In Dylan's words, "Behind every beautiful thing, there's some kind of pain." And as we trace the journey of this living legend, we see how pain and beauty have intertwined, creating an extensive tapestry of songs that have touched millions. Bob Dylan, with his poetic lyrics and distinctive voice, has left an indelible mark on the world of music. His influence extends far beyond his genre of folk and rock. His music has inspired and continues to inspire countless musicians across the globe, from the Rolling Stones to Adele, from Bruce Springsteen to Ed Sheeran. It's a testament to his versatility and relevance that his music has spanned generations. His legacy is not just his music, but also his ability to convey profound messages through it. Dylan's songs have been the soundtrack to social and political movements, giving voice to the voiceless and challenging the status quo. His words have sparked conversations that have led to significant change. And let's not forget his contribution to the world of literature. Winning the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016, Dylan broke barriers, becoming the first musician to receive such an honor. His lyrics, woven with intricate metaphors and vivid imagery, have been recognized as poetry, further cementing his place in the annals of cultural history. But perhaps the most striking aspect of Dylan's legacy is his enduring relevance. Even today, his music resonates with people of all ages, from all walks of life. His songs, filled with timeless truths, continue to provide solace, provoke thought, and inspire action. As we continue to unravel the enigma that is Bob Dylan, one thing remains certain: his music will forever echo in the annals of time. His melodies will continue to strum the chords of our hearts, his words will continue to inspire, and his legacy will continue to shape the world of music. The final chord of Bob Dylan's symphony is far from being struck, for his music is timeless, ever evolving, and forever etched in our collective consciousness.